Good evening, folks, and welcome to the official ARK community. This is Fortunate coming at you. We are now sitting on November 16th, which means that we are going to give you the 16th podcast or the 16th AMA, however you want to call it. We are here live and direct, and I'll go ahead and pass it on over to our incredible, amazing, diligent, very well dressed, and impressing founder, Mr. Atlas. The floor is yours, sir.
Oh man, you're making me blush. Fortunate, thank you for the introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ARK. This is Atlas. This is our 16th podcast, November 16th. We are happy to receive you here. I can tell you that the team's been very hard at work behind the scenes as we continue to really incorporate a lot of our front end to the contracts, the D app. Everything is looking fantastic. We are going to be doing our second round, our public round 2. That's going to be happening on Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. UTC for our folks over in Europe. Guys, we're very excited. Today we had our first YouTube in the China community in Chinese. We understand and believe that a big part of growth here for all of us is tapping into different continents, different countries, different languages. As you know, every human being pretty much alive is requiring, passive income out there, especially with what's going on with the global uncertainty that we're all facing. ARK is really becoming a shining light, a promise, the light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of folks as they hear about us, they learn about us, they're doing their due diligence. And it is important for us to have these international channels there for them as, a lot of the world is really not English speaking. We all understand that. So it's important for us to do that. I want to, really call out S23, who's been really like the United Nations, secretary, organizing all the G20, countries into having an official ARK channel. S23, can you come and maybe tell us a little bit about the work you've been doing and how you're getting everybody organized and setting the floor for a respectful, professional, and educational atmosphere for new investors to go in their own language and be able to learn about ARK?
Well, thank you, Atlas. As really, I don't have much to tell. It's more with me. It's more about the work being done. We're developing those new country groups and organizing those communities. And an extra step is getting all those admins for those countries together so everything is well coordinated and homogeneous and they get to know each other and this making sure that it's a team effort. Eventually we'll have a large number of countries added to the list and hopefully the growth of the project and those communities will be very, very, very good. We're all working for the best outcome. Those communities are being built, but unlike some other projects, they're not being built without the attention they need. So it's fundamental if you have a serious product, the amazing art that you guys built, to be able to maximize to get the best outcome. It's fundamental, in my opinion, to have a good, well coordinated effort in building those communities, and we're going to make sure that um, ARK not only is the best project, but it also has the largest and best organized community out there, which is essential. And we're going to make sure that everyone, whatever the language and whatever the needs, is going to be best served. And that's what I'm working on.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It is a very important task, as we understand that for the growth that we're seeking on a global scale, we cannot let a language barrier become, the hurdle for the project. So it's about identifying those leaders, those folks that want to take the time, put the work in, do the YouTube videos, do the Medium articles or TikTok, whatever's working in their region, in their country, but in their own language. That's extremely vital and important, and we're not going to leave that to later. I mean, we want to take off with these guys. We want those guys too to come and join us in Friday on the public round 2, the public round 3, and especially at launch. We need great demand, guys, for December 2nd. So we've taken a time, and we don't have all of the leaders identified yet. I'm really happy we got the China, the Italian group. I'll tell you how many people are there right now, guys. They're on fire. 319. I think they've probably done over 23, 22. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andrea, if you're still here. YouTube videos for, the Italian speaking investors. That's impressive, guys. That's very impressive. So now we have our first China. I was on a call today to develop Brazil. And I want to put it out there for anyone here. Maybe you have roots, family in other countries. Maybe you have a Polish background, or, South American or Asian, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand. I mean, if you can speak the language, or you have family that does, that you believe will benefit for coming here to ARK and investing with us, please, reach out, as we are looking for the right folks. It just can't be anybody. It has to be somebody that really has the ambition, the passion, and we're happy to sit here with them and educate them and show them the great opportunity that it can be. I mean, coming in and being the first into a language market as an international official channel administrator, ambassador, can absolutely do wonders as this starts to really grow. So again, S23, thank you so much for the work you're doing there. We're going to continue with those efforts as you see us grow here in the official ARK chat, the English language, pardon me. You will see through time that the foreign language, the international groups are also going to be, really evolving and developing and growing. With that, I'm going to go ahead. Mr. Brett Norden, do you want to join us this evening? Say hello to the community. Tell us a little bit about your day. Any updates, any news? I know you've been working super hard.
Yeah, we're just getting ready for the liquidity controller and how that impacts the rest of the system. We've got the tax things adjusted and to be able to keep that more sustainable. So yeah, we're gonna make a couple tweaks. The tax table on the white paper was updated to include the liquidity controller, and we are only going to offer purchases, and I think we mentioned this before, on our own native swap page. So there won't be an option to purchase on PancakeSwap. And when you do the purchase on our swap page, it will get automatically deposited into the ARK vault. So we just made the adjustment to the tax table to show that there's a buy and a deposit. We're just updating a couple words on that to make it more clear. But otherwise, it's still the same tax. Nothing's changed there. We're just combining the buy tax with the deposit tax. So the net's a little bit more favorable, actually, for the investor. It's not a complete that we kind of rounded up on the tax table, so they get a little break there. But otherwise, everything's looking great, and we got some good back and forth exchanges about the update regarding the round robin system. And I think we posted that yesterday, and I kind of sent it around to the different channels. And so far, the feedback's been positive, and the sentiment seems positive. So that's great news. Yeah, that's been about it. if anybody has any questions, please let me know, and I'd be happy to answer them.
Does anyone have a question for Brett regarding the updates he just confirmed and went into detail over for us? Love to hear from you guys. Don't be shy. Step up. Well, Brett, I'm sorry. I don't think we have any questions so far. Let's continue with the conversation here. Mr. Reboot, welcome to the podcast tonight. I hope you're doing well. And if you're able to come join us.
Oh, thanks, brother. Hello. I'm not doing well, man. I just being attacked by the worst flu, the man flu, man. So no, I'm sorry. I'm not feeling well. My head is all drowsy. So I'm just gonna listen to you guys today.
All right, man. Get in there, man, and put the covers on. Stay warm, sweat it out, and glad that you're joining us here tonight, man. Hope you get better soon. And yeah, no worries, man. Thank you for being here. We got Squid Allen, Crypto Calamari. Oh man, now that's a name. The milkshake brings all the hodlers. What's up? Welcome to the podcast. This is ARK.
Let's go, man. Let's go. Sorry. Took me like a week to come up with a name. So how you guys doing?
Fantastic. Happy to have you here. May I ask you, where did you hear about ARK?
Harry told me about it. So I've been pretty excited about it. I've been trying to read the white paper, and it blows my mind. I'm not that smart, so I have to read it like 4 or 5 times.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you a little secret. I'm not going to say when, but very, very, very soon, Mr. SK, Crypto K, is going to be dropping the ARK bomb. And I can't wait to see it myself. I know it's almost completed, and you better believe we're going to be posting that, sending it. I think we're going to even email it to people, snail mail, the link to YouTube to be able to catch that, because that man really has a gift to be able to break down these complex systems into bite-sized morsels that we can all chew on. Kind of like those the little mini Snickers candy bars. So that's my analogy to it. But man, can you tell me a little bit about Squid Allen and Crypto Calamari? I feel like I'm in Bikini Bottom hanging out with Patrick and SpongeBob.
Well, I mean, not to show the project, but I'm also in Squid Grow, and I'm a huge believer in them. So I made my name, like an ode to them. But it's a project I believe in, and hopefully it goes to the moon in next year or two. But yeah, I also got into that project due to William Wallace and Harry. So I follow those guys like white on rice.
Great people. I don't think I know the other person, but Harry's. I call him Harry Styles because Harry Styles is the hot, artist right now for the top 20 charts and selling out $100 million tours. Like, I mean, the thing's insane what this guy's doing. I don't know if I get it, but hey, man, you can't. What do you say? Don't hate the player, hate the game. But I always encourage and I admire when people are getting, what they desire. Everybody has goals and dreams, and to see somebody achieve that at that level, it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, absolutely. But I think our Harry is better looking than Harry Styles. So
that's a good one. But and don't worry about the shill. It was not a shameless one. I actually opened the door right open. I mean, Squid, I get it. And a lot of our investors are Squid Grow investors. And we love everybody. We love all projects. As long as you're doing the right thing, taking care of your investors out there on the crypto streets, making it happen. Look, we understand that there's many ways and there's many opportunities, and as folks invest, they become parts of many communities, and we want to tie into all of those. You don't have to be an ARK maxi. You're going to be hearing that term a lot coming in the next couple of months. But yeah, man, happy to have you here. Harry's great. Mark is also another big squid over there, and someone that we love and cherish and respect, and just love hanging out with. He's been here with us so many times. I think he's come to almost every podcast I've ever done. No, well, for the past, since like March, at least. But yeah, you love those guys, right, Mark? Your Squid Boys?
Yeah, you're breaking up a bit. I'm driving. But I reckon let's get this.
Yes, sir. Keep the eyes on the road. Keep the eyes on the road, man. Happy to have you here. And that's what it's about, guys. We're gonna be seeing so many folks from so many different communities and projects, and they're well received. This is a very special project that I think it's like your safe bet, if you were to look at it kind of in that fashion, your passive income play, where look, we even encourage as folks thrive and grow here and get the rewards that they diversify in the future. Look at real estate. Look at bonds. Look at getting into other projects. Investing into startups that are coming. We want to identify great new projects that are going to be coming in the future, and be an angel investor for them. Of course, the community here, the DAO, those NFT holders are going to have the voice, they're going to have the vote. But we've already got a couple of partnerships already in mind and lined up. Fantastic folks with a great track record, reputation, work ethic. It's no secret. We've got 3 folks from Bridge DeFi as advisors here in ARK. We love their project. We love what they're doing. We were at AMA the other day, and those guys have a fantastic project. That's a beautiful thing, guys, to be able to grow together and help each other. We're having a lot of cool meetings, I got to tell you. So glad to see. We share the investor pool, and we want to grow it. We want you guys to interact, spend time here in RVC, bring folks from your respective groups, and make some friends. I've made so many friends. I've had people come to my home that I've met in crypto. I mean, it's a fantastic place to really network and grow as a investor, but I think also as a person. There's something to be said about calling your buddy up, on Telegram, and being able to relate to him, whether you had a really, really great day that most people would say you're full of shit. They don't believe you. Or, even worse, those bad days where if you called, a regular, friend, they wouldn't understand. They think you're crazy, that you took some losses. And your crypto brothers, we all understand. You always got a shoulder to cry on. But yeah, happy to see you here, man. Squid Allen. I hope that you get to see that SK video as soon as we do, and we want to see, what questions come out of that, and what information is really going to set, a lot of answers ablaze, right? I think that when I watch SK's videos, it all falls. It all falls. Sometimes I'll watch him 2 times, just get all of the content, because he really goes deep and breaks it down with numbers and all. So, is there anybody else that has a question or a comment before I go and start just randomly picking people?
I think William Wallace has a question.
Okay. Is it in our chat? Is it written, or is he going to talk with us? Oh, he can't talk. Okay. Are you picking on him, Squid?
Never.
Okay. We got James Bayer in the house. Meta Narrative from Crypto Dorks. I don't know if you guys want to shout out, come and say hello to us tonight on the podcast. I don't think I've seen Meta Narrative here before. We got Joyce, Mark D. Oh, Mark D likes to talk sometimes. Mark D, are you there?
Yeah, let's. I have a question.
Go right ahead.
So, with the app coming out and the ease of purchasing and entering into the ARK by utilizing a credit card, I was curious on the flip side, what is planned? Maybe this is a question for Brett. That they could withdraw and take their gains.
What was the question, Mackworth? Was it how do people sell the token after they've withdrawn it from the ARK vault?
No, I mean I think it's really like a paradigm shift, like to be able to just use your credit card to buy ARK. I'm just wondering if on the flip side, if there's if the concept is as simple as it is to buy versus to cash in.
Like, is there a fiat off ramp, or how to fiat off ramp?
There's no fiat off ramp at this time, but we're discussing that. But what we offer now is a native swap page. So all you need to do is when you withdraw it to your wallet, the ARK, then you just go over to the native swap page and you just swap it for BUSD.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Could one of you go into which is better to hold, a legacy NFT or bond, and the reasons behind which one is better and why?
I'll let Brett, if you're available to take that. But before you go ahead and answer that, Brett, I did want to tell Smackworth that just today, before getting on the podcast, I had a conversation with Brett in regards to the fiat off ramp, and ideally, our holy grail idea of being able to furnish our investors a debit card that they would be able to load the fiat on and spend that way. So that's where we are, putting our targets on. That's where we want to get to, and there are some folks that we're going to be having some talks with very, very soon about that. So that's in the roadmap, future development, but sooner than later is really our hope. Thanks for the question, Smackworth. And Brett, if you want to talk about the NFTs and the LP.
Yeah, so the legacy NFTs each have different reward levels, and so it's really based on your personal circumstance. If you're doing extensive team building and you'd like to have access to those lower level rewards, then you're going to want to get a higher level NFT. It also, as you go up the line, so we have silver, gold, and platinum, you're also gaining higher levels of rewards that are paid out to the NFT holders through a rewards pool. And that rewards pool is fed by both all the buy and sell transactions, and then also our external investments will feed that legacy NFTs rewards pool as well. And then as you scale up also, you get additional DAO votes. So the people that hold the legacy NFTs are going to get access to our DAO, and that will have voting rights. And if you look in the white paper, there's a table that kind of breaks down how many votes you get, and then what percentage of the rewards pool you would hold if all 100 legacy NFTs were minted. So they give you a pretty good idea of what the difference is and how they scale up. And then also with the legacy NFTs, you also get the ability to compound faster and maintain your 2% longer, because you're able to compound and not withdraw as often. So if you dig a little bit into the CWR and how that works, the legacy NFT will allow you to grow your principal balance, which is kind of like a deposit value, faster than other people that don't hold the legacy NFT. So there's some advantages to that in that if you start with a smaller bag, or you are getting referral rewards and things like that, you'll be able to compound up to a little bit higher level. But we do encourage that you do withdraw based on your CWR limits, and you withdraw early enough to where you're not hitting those higher tax tiers. A lot of people think just because you hold a legacy NFT that that you'll be able to go really fast and try to drain the contract. And it's actually the opposite, because what you'll end up doing is withdrawing at the higher tax tiers. And Drip and Furio and some of the others have a similar tax scaling feature. But it will be more pronounced in our protocol if you do just compound and you're only withdrawing the minimum amount. Once you get into those 5-6 levels of tax tiers, you're going to be paying out a lot more in tax. So you just need to be careful that you keep it balanced and you're watching where those tax levels are. And it does depend a little bit on your referral rewards and things like that. But Kelly Snook did a calculator for us. And if you go on there, you can play with different scenarios you can use and look at different legacy NFTs and their CWR schedules. And you can start to get a feel for how each of them will impact your investment. And then, decide for yourself which scenario and which strategy makes sense for your situation. Obviously, the larger, team builders are going to try to capture those lower level rewards in the 15 levels below them. So they're going to probably invest in a higher level legacy NFT, or they're going to buy the bond LP, which also qualifies you for reward levels, but doesn't have the DAO votes and the rewards pool that the legacy NFTs have. So that's kind of a little bit of an overview. And I encourage you, it is a little bit complicated. So I'd encourage you maybe to breeze through the white paper and then come back with some additional questions if you have any. Obviously, we're not trying to tell people how to manage their investment or give any financial advice in that way. So if you are thinking of getting a legacy NFT, I encourage you to go look at the calculator and then run through kind of how you think you would want to play, and then see if the legacy NFT fits your strategy. I will say that a lot of people have sort of attached the legacy NFT to just compounding and trying to rush to the end. As I mentioned, there's no advantage in doing that. All of the CWR and wallets will net the same amount of tokens. So there's no advantage to holding a legacy NFT in terms of being able to profit more from the system. Everyone has the same opportunity, and going faster doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a smoother ride, or that you're going to and it could work in the opposite direction. You might end up paying more withdrawal taxes if you're just pulling out at those higher tax tiers. But I encourage you to play with that and see how that mechanism works. There was one more thing I was going to mention about the legacy NFTs. Yeah, a lot of people have kind of attached them to this compound race to the end sort of strategy. And for me, we developed the legacy NFT to give benefits to your vault investment, so your ARK Vault investment, which is the daily ROI DApp. But really, it's an ownership protocol and is an investment in the future of ArkFi. So if you believe what we're doing and you see a roadmap opportunity that and it's a long-term vision for what we plan to do here, you're going to want to hold on to those legacy NFTs, because we're going to introduce more revenue streams as product expansions come out, cross-chain expansions, whatever it might be, partnerships. Those legacy NFT holders will be the first in line through the DAO. And then also as the ecosystem grows, that rewards pool will grow, but our external investments will also grow in a sense that rewards pool will continue to swell, we hope. And there's a fixed number of legacy NFTs. So when they're sold out, they're sold out. So we encourage people, if they're considering that, to look at it as a secondary investment into the ecosystem, rather than just the benefits that you get from the ARK Vault and how it might benefit your investment strategy in the ARK Vault.
That's a great answer. Thanks, Brett. No, that's a nice one. That clears up a lot. The other thing that I've only really heard mentioned a couple of times fully is, I know that mass adoption of the platform is the overall goal that you're trying to achieve, but obviously external revenue that you were just talking about is also important when it comes to having a protocol that truly is sustainable. I just wondered what the sources of those external revenue sources are in real life.
Sure. Yeah, Atlas, do you want to take that, or did he drop off for a second?
I'll be here with you guys.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah,
You want to handle that?
I'll be happy. Yeah. Why not? Okay. Great question, Harry. Yeah, I've touched on this in a lot of our podcasts and gotten into a lot of detail on some of them. So I won't go too into detail and bore people, as they've probably heard it quite a lot of times. I think we got Brad with your microphone. If you could mute, please, Mr. Brad. Thank you, sir. No worries, man. It's fine. So, Harry, one of the things that we have in mind is going to the traditional world, the traditional finance markets and rails, and taking advantage of opportunities that we have, particularly in Europe, with hedge funds that are doing, to kind of describe it in a simple way, think of crowdfunding, but for very qualified institutional investors, where they're putting together, 2.5 to 2.9, 3.5 billion euros in order to do transactions between different entities, institutions, could be Bank A to Bank C, and they're in the middle of the transaction, pretty much, doing the financing for bonds. And these deals are generally a couple of weeks. They're very, very safe. Obviously, these institutions and hedge funds are extremely reputable. And we have, from past experience and folks here on the team, we have those contacts, we have those connections to be able to participate. Where generally little folks like us just alone don't get the chance. We don't have the resources. We don't, generally qualify to get involved. So that's, very, very lucrative. It's short term. It's low risk, no leverage. So we love that. It's not something we can do every day or every month or every week. These are opportunities that will come up when the time is right and they have a perfect deal. That's, pretty much almost like shooting fish in a barrel. Maybe not the best analogy, but it's that safe and secure because it's all under contract in the real world. We'll be presenting that here when the time is right. And we'll have all our contracts. Everything will be completely transparent. And we'll let our DAO make the vote and make the decision if they want to move forward with that and what the right allocation would be. Maybe it's a small one the first time just to, get our investors to be comfortable and see there's fantastic returns to be had there. Very unique, very special, very small circle of folks that can really get in there and make it happen. So that's quite fantastic. We're also looking at really taking advantage of what's happening in the crypto mining sector, as so many of the large firms are going bankrupt. They have the machines off, the rigs are down, they can't pay electric bills. Some of them are 2-3 months behind in their electric bills, and they're having quite a lot of issues. So you're finding that there are a lot of GPUs, pretty much pennies on the dollars. The same GPUs that you couldn't get your hands on a year ago, that you're paying a 2x and a 3x to be able to get. So I've always believed there's great opportunity when folks are, losing their business and things aren't working. We know that we are in an energy crisis, and although we do see crypto at the moment, generally the blue chip are falling in value. And of course, the validators, running the network and running the nodes are not seeing the same profits that they used to. That's what's causing them actually to go out of business. We see a potential to pick up those GPUs. We see a potential to go to Canada, where we have a company that we've had a relationship with for about 2 years. And they are actually picking up gas from wells where they're doing fracking. They're doing shell fracking, and there's caps by the government as to how much they can actually drill and produce because of the CO2 that's coming out of that natural gas into the air. So by them being able to offload it to this company, they are able to continue their operation getting more oil. So for us, it translates into pretty much at the end of the day, having the opportunity with them to put generators and turbines at the well, because pipelines cost a lot of money to do, and being able to get about 1 cent per kilowatt hour and use that as our energy source, renewable clean energy source for mining with those, pennies on the dollar GPUs. So that's another thing that we've identified that's really fantastic, that my belief and understanding my due diligence and the relationship I have with those folks, I believe it's maybe today not going to be extremely profitable, but we're not going to be in this bear market forever. And being able to take advantage of those things is going to be quite important to ARK. So those are two things that we can disclose at this time. There's other things in the works, but again, that will all be decided here by the whole community. In particular, I mean the community of the DAO. Does that answer a bit of your question, Harry?
Yeah, certainly does. Thanks very much.
Do you have any opinions regarding that?
No, like as far as external investment goes, I think with mining, looking forward in the future, it's going to become profitable again. Gas, as you say, gas prices aren't going to be as high. Hopefully, in the future, there's a lot of unknowns. Putin and his war against Ukraine has caused upheaval in so many areas in life, gas prices being one of them. So we can only hope that situation dies down and the war stops.
Absolutely. But do you understand what I'm talking about? Oh, we get a bad echo.
No, I
want to ask you something.
But yes, gas prices are so high, and that's part of the reason why we're in the energy crisis, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. And the fact that you're sort of looking elsewhere to try and find renewable sources for mining Bitcoin or Ethereum Classic or whatever it's going to be moving forward. I think that's important, and I think there's always going to be a need for it as well. And yeah, I have to defer to you guys when it comes to investment advice in hedge funds. It's not something I know anything about, but if you guys think it's a low risk, surefire way to make some money for the protocol, then I'm entirely pro that for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the idea. That's the spirit of it. You don't want to take chances with other folks' money, right? that's something that just this past week we've seen a heinous debacle that's unfolded with FTX. So we believe that at this time more than ever in our industry, transparency it's just vital. It's key. I don't think you're going to be able to do business here if you're not transparent in this space. You have to really open up, and I think the best way to secure that is our strategy here of having the DAO actually make the decision, not us. That also takes a lot of our, let's say, responsibility and exposure away, because these are not our funds. These are your funds. I mean, we're investing as well, but the majority vote here is from the DAO, and that's who's going to decide. So our duty is to find the opportunities, put them in front of you, give everyone time to do their due diligence and understand it. And I'm pretty sure not everyone's going to agree, but the majority will set the tone and will answer the direction that we take. And there's going to be quite a lot of options. There's other projects too that we have identified. But again, just because we like those folks and the developers and the products they have that we believe are safe investments for our community, ultimately it is up to you guys. Let's get this crypto. Great question.
One thing about the DAO, just while we're talking about DAOs, is that I think it's really important how they're set up. I've seen them in multiple projects now that I've been part of, and quite often they don't go very well, because I guess what has happened in other projects is that there have been proposals that have been put forward by people, and then, you know, by anybody in the community, and then being voted upon, and then the entire community expects this nonsense proposal that's being put forward by someone with some kind of agenda has been, you know, voted for rather than against, and then the community expect it to be sort of adopted by the core team. And I guess like that's my only worry whenever I hear the word DAO, is that I think it's incredibly important that it's set up in the correct way first time, so that it doesn't cause any friction in the community.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense, and that's something that's going to be developed further on. That's not we're not working on DAO as we speak. that's going to be implemented, part of the roadmap for later. Obviously, it'll have to be in place before we put forth the investments and, you know, release all the information for folks to do the due diligence. So, and, you know, any advice you would have regarding that, you know, we'd love to hear from you on the DMs, because we do want to make sure that we do it.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah. I'll send you a DM about a couple of things.
One quick comment I'll just make to that. As we set up the structure for the legacy NFTs, and, you know, how many votes each legacy NFT is awarded and things like that, we actually looked at the structure and how many legacy NFTs would be available. Because what we didn't want to do is have it to be a whale controlled, what people will perceive as a whale controlled DAO. So we actually have the 50% of the DAO votes are resting with the lowest tier legacy NFT, which is the silver tier, which is $1,000. So we wanted a real diverse group available to make those voting decisions and part of the DAO. So it wouldn't be one in particular type of legacy NFT that controlled a majority of the pool. So there would be a lot, I guess a smaller voting number is awarded to the silver NFTs, but overall it'll be the large majority of people in the DAO voting with the silver NFT.
Yeah, that's really great. Actually, I did realize that, and it's that's definitely a positive thing.
Hello.
Hey, Nito.
Yo. If you don't mind.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah. So there was a lot mentioned. I didn't want to interrupt, but okay. So regarding whatever's not comfortable for you to answer, no problem. Okay. By the way, I'm a blunt guy. So the first thing was about the hedge fund. Is that like PPP? Are you like organizing a PPP deal between country banks, like interbanks, and like SBLC stuff like that? Is that what it is? But it's through a hedge fund?
It's bonds, but yes, it's through hedge fund.
Okay, and then only NFT holders benefit from that. Is that right? Or is it going to be through somehow going to? Oh well, it won't appreciate the token because that's under a controller, right? So it's only going to be. It's going to be like a side additional future allocations that the DAO decides to partake in. Correct?
We're going to start with the first raise from the sale of the current legacy NFTs. So that's going to be the main fund that we're going to use for outside investment as of now. It might expand later. You know, there's decisions that we'll have to make. But as of right now, it is the first 3,000 NFTs that will be available in the system. That's correct, right, Brett?
We're gonna have, so that's just the silver NFTs. We also have the gold and then the platinum as well. So there's 3 different tiers. The 3,000 was the silver, the gold 500, and the platinum is 100.
Okay, but excuse me, the contribution for the NFT holders, a portion of that will be used to enter those investments to the hedge fund, right? And the return will be returned to those holders, right? Proportionally, correct?
That is correct.
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Regarding the
One
miners,
comment I will make also, Nito, is that revenue that we generate from outside sources will flow into the legacy NFT rewards pool, but we'll also use that to support the liquidity controller and then also keep some in reserves. So
great.
yeah, because we understand that the liquidity controller has to be fed, and that's the main purpose of those external revenue sources, is to pay back our initial core group of investors who are the legacy NFT holders, but then also make sure that we have liquidity in reserves and available to the liquidity controller. Yeah, so we can maintain a stable price system.
Yeah. I'm sure the DAO will vote for additional over reserves to make sure you're protected. But real quick about the miner, do you not worry about the age of the miner because the technology changes? By investing in today may not be optimal for future mining in terms of efficiency and stuff like that. That's what just jumps at me. But I guess if it's cheap enough, it will make sense with the hash rate and so forth. Is that something? Is it very fluid right now, or is the deal solidified, or is this even a consideration now?
It's in consideration, and it is profitable at 1 cent per kilowatt is extremely viable. Folks are paying 7 cents, 14 cents. In Europe, even up to 20 cents of a euro and up. It's crazy the prices that are happening. So they're getting squeezed out. They're turning their systems off. So those that can actually keep the lights on because they have plenty of reserves. Let's say a company or just a small investor who got into the crypto mining business was able to sell the top and he's saving enough cash. That at one point he's going to have to make the decisions to turn the lights off. So a good point about the technology as they do become pretty outdated with new GPUs that are coming out that are using less energy, and they're also more efficient and processing a lot more in a more powerful compressed chip. We understand that, but we're talking here about buying the latest, most productive and reliable GPUs that folks paid a lot of money for, and then taking that to pretty much almost free, energy. So when you add those two things together, you have a business, in my opinion. In 2-3 years, are they going to be, the best in the market? For sure not. And we have to see what happens in those prices. But I don't see, energy prices dropping down to where they were, anytime really soon. And even if they did, it's really the benefit of buying those GPUs so cheap.
Yeah. So the GPU is really what the huge fire sale is about then, right?
It's both things. Right. Buying it cheap and then being able to operate it for almost nothing. So it works. It's a fantastic proposition.
Yeah, that sounds really good actually. And that's in concert with the hedge fund, correct? Or is it like afterwards?
That's completely different. That's a completely different. We're gonna put a lot of concepts and ideas and businesses that we can get into that are gonna support our project here at ARK. That's also going to attract a lot of real world investors when they see that we're just not crypto. We are also involved in great projects that are in the regular financing world, as well as into actually being a crypto mining company. So again, that has to be voted. We can't make the decision for you guys.
Right. And then lastly, about the you mentioned the debit card before earlier in the session. A few days back, I actually had asked this, and I don't believe you mentioned it was on the table. I know about receiving, payment of ARK in fiat, but not actually having a debit card, like an ARK branded, let's say, debit card through some issuer that would be able to allow you to spend your assets using a debit card in the real world. So now you're saying that is something you're going to be pursuing in the roadmap?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's going to be like when the app's built out, right? Or is that?
That's for a future roadmap, and we'll be disclosing it, Nito, as soon as we have information. But right now, we're just in the talks and looking at the options that are available and seeing how they would fit ARK and everything that we're doing here. I'm going to interrupt you there. No, I got someone that's traveling as well. If you don't mind, for a couple of minutes, I know Z probably has a limited time to be with us here this evening, and he is the guest of the podcast. Mr. Z, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Atlas, can you hear me?
Perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, man. The last, you can say 13 hours have been a challenge. Being in a place that's sort of 6 hours ahead of my time schedule is getting time to get used to. But I'm a professional with the markets, with DeFi, so I'm here. And honestly, the feelings I'm having towards the public sale coming up are joyous. I'm looking forward to it. This is our second round. The way we sold the first public sale, I hope more of you are looking forward to it as well. Because how long? What was the exact time that we sold the first public pre-sale? It was about I think a minute, 2 minutes.
Under 2 minutes.
Under 2 minutes, right? If someone can give statistics to me, I think it was a minute 30 seconds. The last I heard. So yeah, man, dude, I tell you, since I took the interest in DeFi, I've been looking into a lot of outside, I've been focused on the outside world, and I've been looking at how they connect with decentralized solutions. Not from a centralized point of view. We don't want to do an FTX or a big thing, but we want to be able to have decentralized finance as Web3 as solutions and a real world solution. So when I'm here, I feel pride that we sort of not just go for the companies and the partnerships. We're going for the farmer, for the gardener, for the loyal individual. And when I'm in a place like sort of Asia, where the world is developing, and I'm looking at folks that that just have a mobile phone as connectivity, for them to be able to decentralize and DeFi with us, it's a unique thing. So here I met on my very first day, I met some big developers and some companies working in decentralized finance, and I also met the local individual, the local young fella that's at the age of 14 to 16 going to school. And for them to be pretty joyous about DeFi is something different the last time I was here. So yeah, thus far I'm settling in well. I'm enjoying the weather here, and there's a bunch of other things that I want to talk to about you can say the news has been pretty you know me, man. I'm a statistics person. I don't get into gossips as much as I do real world utility, and I go through assets. So if you don't mind, could I kind of talk about decentralized finance for a few minutes?
Go right answer.
Yeah. So whilst I think I've been getting a bunch of sort of DMs and a lot of sort of coverage from folks and their worries about the centralized exchanges, as we call them, FTX one of them. People think it's gonna continue, and I'm not there to speculate for that. What I am here to speculate is you can say DeFi, and when we look at DeFi and we look at the last week. There's just some details I want to give. So I'm going to talk about Ethereum, OpenSea, and DYDX. in the week where we've had sort of bearish moves in Bitcoin and Ethereum has charged fees up to 30 million. The revenue has been 22 million, and their token incentives, as in staking protocol, people stake, farm, yield NFTs, right? Like we do these things, and our token incentive on Ethereum is $14 million this week, and our earnings was 8.5 million. And this is the bearish market. OpenSea has done 6 million in fees, 1.5 million in earnings. And the earnings I look into much more detail, because those are like creators, people that are creating sort of NFTs and holding you can say a floor price on their projects. DYDX, another one, a decentralized exchange, has done 1.3 million in earnings. And then we have more DeFi things like 1inch, GMX, MakerDAO, Stargate, MUMX. These are all decentralized sorts of things, and they've all done under $1 million. So this is showing to me that DeFi carries on, and basically we need to move away. Like we've been warning folks for like a few years that whenever something gets centralized, I mean, actors do come in, institutes come in, and there's a bit of manipulation. But to see DeFi sort of go through this storm this week and have the earnings that they have gives us potential that, ARK has many sort of partnerships to be made. ARK has a bunch of adoption to go through, and my favorite like statistics was MakerDAO, because MakerDAO, when MakerDAO started, they were only $10,000 in liquidity, right? And for them to go through a bearish week like we did, and come out with a $250,000 earning, 265K to be exact, is big. So it shows you that there are eyes on DeFi. There are many utilities, and what I'm liking is we had our first you can say Metaport. So Bangalore or airport in India opened up the first metaverse for folks. So people fly into Bangalore airport and connect into Polygon layer 2. They're able to go to the local cinema. They're able to hire a tour guide. They were able to order their food and do things at automation. And it was all decentralized finance. So DeFi for me is a big positive in a place where we've had sort of downturn. So I want people like as much like I know this is a rant, and usually my rants are nice, and I want folks to be progressive and to look into utility much more, especially when there's a bunch of news that people are talking about. Look into utility and see the use case. And here at ARK, we do that every week. We like our pre-sold to be sold under 2 minutes is progress. There, it shows that the community here is strong, and the people and the folks here want real world use case. They want a passive income. They want not just a passive income. They want an ecosystem. They want many partnerships. So I'm looking forward to the ride we have up front, and I'm glad I don't work for any decentralized exchanges right now. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Let's get this crypto. Nice, man. Interesting numbers. Very interesting numbers. So, man, so you were there at that airport and you experienced the metaverse there?
I had a friend that was traveling there, and he was the first one because I'm in Pakistan for the next few weeks, and then I'll go to like Hong Kong and Singapore and other places. But he was traveling to Bangalore and to see his family, and so he calls me and says, "Dude, I'm calling you for the metaverse." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm calling you. And I've got a service here, and I'm like, that is crazy that you were able to top up in the metaverse and call me through connecting your wallet of MetaMask to layer 2, and like it was mind boggling. Like we wouldn't like that's gonna be the new world. And when he told me like before he even got to the airport, he was able to order the food he wanted. He was able to do his duty free shopping. He was able to do a bunch of things, and so we have a lot to look forward to metaverse terms. And yeah, it was surprising to me.
He paid in crypto with the MetaMask, you said?
Yeah. He purchased everything in Ethereum and Matic.
Wow,
Which
that's crazy.
isn't that great? Like anyone from India here, like should know about this. Like I know it's not talked in the mainstream.
Mm-hmm. I might have to get on YouTube and check that out because it does sound quite fascinating.
Yeah, I'll DM you an article. I'll show it to you. And then the other stuff that's pretty interesting is so Bored Ape Yacht Club are working with the FIFA World Cup, and they had a premiere of their you can say one of their characters named Hertz. So Indigo Hertz. If you guys want to follow Indigo Hertz on Twitter, follow them. Follow it. It's a Bored Ape Yacht Club, and and they just did their like this is like for me, Bored Ape Yacht Club is still decentralized finance because that's the only way to buy a Bored Ape. You can only do it through OpenSea. So to see Indigo Hertz doing a promotion with Messi and Benzema, which are like soccer superstars for the American folks here. It's big. It's big. So we've had sort of a bit of decentralized finance there, and then the other thing that happened was you can say Nike just launched their NFT marketplace, and it's called Swoosh. People should check it out. And also not on a centralized exchange. It's all decentralized. You connect your MetaMask and you basically work it through. And they sold Steve Jobs sandals. So Steve Jobs had some like Nike like sort of released a Birkenstock sandals that Steve Jobs wore, and it was sold in an NFT auction for 218,000. Which shows you utility, right? Like this is what we want to do. We want to do bidding, asking bids within the within DeFi and be able to hold you can say commerce and arbitrage that way. So for me, this is a peek into the future, and so I'm looking forward to all these things happen, especially when we've had turmoil, we've had a bunch of like slander and people focus when slander happens. That's when I take a deeper interest, and look into what's really happening at the utility level. What are the quants telling me? Because statistics are everything. Like those are the facts that we should sort of carry on with. And apart from that, the other thing I find, you can say, I mean, we talk about the developed world here because most of our audience here are from like the States or Europe. I want to focus on the developing world here because the developing world, for them, this is a new entrance, right? For like a farmer that earns maybe 100 Indian rupees or like 200 Pakistani rupees to be able to stake some tokens or an NFT and have a regular income above like 4 to 5 or let's say 10 to 20 times the current salary is going to change society in that way. So I know this is it's bigger picture stuff, but that's the kind of stuff I see here. So yeah, that motivates me. I hope it
We're very interested in that. Absolutely. I mentioned Venezuela, Argentina. I actually had a call today with Brazil. There's a lot of folks in the favelas over there that would love ARK, but beyond just the obvious, right? Which is if we just go into these third world countries, a lot of them are really having mobile devices. That's another big reason for our push. Which, by the way, Z, you weren't here. We had our first video in Chinese released for investors today. Pretty exciting, man.
Yes.
We're ahead of our timeline and expectations for that. But one thing that Brett and I talked about this week, and it was interesting how it was brought to my attention. There was a gentleman that did a really nice video for ARK, and in my due diligence, as I'm looking at who's talking about us and what other projects, are they endorsing and interested in? I found that this gentleman's did a really nice video regarding charity that he's involved with. And I believe he does one video a week. And man, this one was pretty interesting. It was these kids in India who didn't have any education. So they were teaming up to give them food, hire a tutor that would, give them education on a daily basis. And man, it was like a real video. Hey, look at the kids. They're here. They went shopping. They got the stuff. I was so impressed with them that I called them and I said, man, I love what you're doing. And I'd want to, develop, and not pick one, actually see if we could pick several different charities. And I thought about you. I know you've been traveling. We haven't had time to speak, but I know that you've done work and you've adopted some kids. Can you talk a little bit about that and how nurturing that has been?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, of course. So basically, I don't know if most of you know this, but like there's a chain called Velis Chain, and Velis Chain has really good sort of APR rewards, and something I think I discussed with you in the past. We forgot about it, but what Wagyu Swap does for me is basically I'm able to stake some tokens, and every month all my sort of like earnings from it goes through so where I'm here in Islamabad, Islamabad got hit hard with the floods, you can say 6 years ago, and you can say at least under 300,000 under 300,000 folks in the rural areas, the village areas, were hit by the tragedy, and a lot of kids lost their houses and lost their local schools. And that was the moment where like they needed guardianship, they needed an institute, they needed something to basically give them so it's basic things, right? Like wearing clear shoes, having medical treatment for wounds, and having 3 meals a day. These are things that get me really emotional because I saw the kids today. But it's a big thing because like my $30 a day to them means that they're able to have 3 meals a day. They're able to wear a uniform. They're able to learn English. And I started this 2 years ago when I started the DeFi sort of a journey with a lot of you, and to see that my sort of wallet was able to get. There's one kid, I can name him. His name's Maksud, and he didn't. He was only 6 years old when we started to like pay his fortunate ways, and now the kid is he was 6 years old when we got him. Now he's 8.5 years old. He's learned English. He speaks English to me, an 8-year-old kid, and is basically very motivated about learning programming. And I'm like, dude, you're 8 years old. What do you want to do on the computer? He goes, I want text editor, and I want to be able to communicate with my friends across the world because we're all one. So when a kid says something like that to you after, it's not big, Atlas. Um, can you hear me?
Wow. And Ellie, you saw him today?
Yeah.
Wow.
The thing I did was I got off my flight and I spoke to my aunt, and I'm like, I need to see those 3 kids. I like it's from the soul. She goes, you've not rested. You're shattered. Get some energy. I'm like, no, I want to go to the school, and I want to see them at lunchtime. It was 11 a.m. here, and their lunch is about 1 p.m. So I was able to like meet them in their small canteen, and have a round table, and talk to them, and it was really, you can say, it was just rejuvenating. It gave me a different purpose. It gave me a different purpose because like here, most of us, like in the developed world, we get our basic necessities met. Yes, we do go through hard times. We do have financial difficulties. We do have all of that, but we do have food on the table. We do have a roof under us. We do have shoes to wear. So for me to say my sort of, and I've not done enough, man. Like when you do like 3 kids, now I'm thinking about doing about 100 plus under me, and then if we create a DAO, then it should be much more. Because what happens is, so the way I met the kid Maksud, right? was I started to like give him his donations. Then I realized he had a little brother and he had a little sister, Atlas, and basically
Do
they needed the same.
they needed the same? Do they have living parents?
No, unfortunately, they lost both their parents in the flood. Um, so that was like, this was 2 years ago. It was devastating for me to hear that when I heard Maksud's story. But then when I found out that he had 2 kids, that hit me even harder. And I'm like, who, so I started donating those 3 kids. But then the special thing is, like in DeFi and basically my family started to like see what I was doing and saying, we want empathy for the kids as well. We want to do it. So, but most charities and stuff, they go through middlemen, and we go through about like I think 90% of the budgets are spent on marketing, right? So most people disconnect from helping kids in Asia and Africa and other places. But now through decentralized finance, through better sort of infrastructure, we're able to hit them at the ground, at ground zero, and be able to get that money to them and have them have a cyclical sort of phase of retention of the amount. So I feel that there's DeFi can do big things here. And yeah, the second I found out about that, I thought about California a little bit. I know it's not the same, but California has a homeless issue. San Francisco has a huge homeless issue. A place that has a lot of development and the revenue streams that they go through, for people to have to beg for food or have to live under shelter, hurts me, because I grew up in those seashores, and I surfed there. I lived my life there. So to see a few decentralized protocols actually like help the homeless there and serve them 3 meals. I think they do 3 meals a day. They get a tent, and they get, you can say, 10 days of rent-free, sort of like living in a motel and other sort of apartments and whatnot. So decentralized finance has a way to basically connect with those folks, especially the vulnerable folks. So that's my viewpoint. Is there anything you want to ask me in specific?
No. I actually, we would like to see, we can't enforce and we don't want to enforce, right? But we'd like to see, and we'd like to encourage, not only the syndicate founders, you're a syndicate founder, and I think it would be a great tie-in for your team, to see if you guys as a team want to support that you've been doing for 2 years. But the idea here is to encourage, anyone that's setting up a team. Like we have the Team Italia, we're starting, the China, and we already have some other teams that are involved here that are really well organized. I'd like to see and hope that in the future, as we start to see some proper gains here and increase, there's going to be a point, I think, that there's going to be, I mean, it sounds cliche, but more money than we know what to do with. And one of the things that we mentioned before was bringing some of these financial advisors that deal with these crypto millionaires that hit the windfall and don't really know how to diversify. But we also want to bring a component of charity. And like I said, not one charity that we choose. We'd actually encourage, folks to do their research and find, like you're saying, not go to these big companies that, the directors have these crazy salaries and the kids are getting, just cents. But finding creative avenues like this gentleman, his name's Crypto Phil, who did the review for ARK on his YouTube channel. He's got a really nice community, 1,500 investors over there, and he's encouraging them, hey guys, you have everything, like this costs us nothing, and look at the results, look at the videos, they're buying him food. Like it'd be really nice to see that the teams are able to organize and band together and find their own charity. It might be animals. I know that Brad here at ARK, he's been for years, taking care of animals. He loves animals. He has a dog shelter over. Is it in Thailand, Brad, that you have your place for the dogs?
Is indeed, Bo. Yeah. And just quickly, Z, we'll talk about this privately another time. I don't want to interject the conversation. But I think you're a wonderful human being, and I would like to get involved in some of the things that you're doing. But we'll talk about that privately.
Appreciate it. Now the other thing I want to point out, yes, we can look at the charitable cause, but realize, guys, like when you give a person like a tool, like a computer, or you're able to give them ambition, it changes not just the sort of their bloodline, but it changes their way of thinking. It changes their sort of notion. It changes a bunch of things, because that's what I saw in Maksud. In the 2 years I've known him, I see that before he was only worried about his family and worried about his siblings, his little sister and brother. Like he's an elder brother, but now he's got ambition to speak to other kids in other parts of the world, and be able to work with them, not just in communication and sort of cartoons and YouTube and stuff. He wants to be able to communicate them and build on those tools and arbitrage. Like I see it in him, and there's a bunch of that in the developing world. I think, like me personally, I would say that in the developed world, we take a bunch of things for granted. We do. We do on a day-to-day basis, and maybe I'm a bit emotional now, and I'll say it more, but it's a mere truth. And if we are able to give someone a food serving in the day, or we're able to give them shoes to wear, or we're able to get them access to the internet, for example. Right now, we're working on 4G with Telenor, which is a big sort of a mobile communication a center here, just like T-Mobile is in the States. And what they're doing is they're trying to bring coverage to these rural areas where folks aren't getting coverage and don't have this basic internet. So that makes a big difference. It makes a huge difference. It means that person can go to YouTube and learn the skills that they want to. If they want to be craftsmen, if they want to learn a language, or they want to learn how to read, write, speak. So in the developing world, when you give a person an opportunity, you see tenfold return on it. I'm not talking about economy. I'm talking about emotional return. I'm talking about arbitrage return, fulfillment there, and so yeah, that's what it does. It changes their perspective, and I think hope is. I don't like the word hope, but it gives them another sort of wire to do, and I can just think what the stuff DeFi does for them in the near future. Imagine Maksud in 5 years from now, like wants to do Solidity, and his work it can work on a DApp. Like those are things that I have in my head for the kid. So I can imagine what others can think. So yeah, it changes their perspective in a nice sense. I don't want to be sad about it, but it's a really beautiful thing that now Maksud can go to. So he's got two guardians, his sort of uncle and aunt, and he tells me he wants a better place to live for them. So when you help the kid, I think it happens with all of us. When we help ourselves and we rejuvenate, then we want our surrounding to be secure as well. And that's what I'm kind of feeling here. That's been my first day here. So let's see what day 2 brings me.
Sir, man, thank you for sharing that, and I've always been proud of you for what you're doing with those boys, and the little girl too, the sister. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate
it. Yeah, me and Brett talked about it. It was funny. Brett came to me and mentioned it like 3 days ago, and I was like, "Oh man, I just sent this India video to Brad." And talk about the coincidence, man. How we're all connected, and we all share a lot of intentions that are good, that are pure. Giving, I think, is probably the best emotion. I mean, gratitude is also up there, but to be able to give selflessly, man, it's a very powerful thing. Brett, Absolutely. You want to talk a little bit about that? Because you brought the idea, and I'm like, wait, we just found something here at ARK very interesting.
Yeah. Along the lines of what you were talking about, how we could have the community members bring those different charities as part of their organizations, and then we could facilitate kind of a portal that would allow other people to come in and kind of vet and review those charities and see which ones that they, vibe with or want to get involved in. And then we could start a community wallet and have them airdrop, ARK into it. So that's another option, is that we build these wallets for these different charities. And then we have little profile pages, maybe it's through our website or however we want to do it. But yeah, it was just some ideas thrown out there because we saw a couple. I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like we could grow these things enormously and then have the community, support them as well, just with their ArkFi investments. And, as you withdraw profits, even sending one ARK into that wallet would be huge. So over time, and yeah, that was kind of the idea. Maybe we just have to come up with a way to just screen them, obviously, and present the information maybe in a structured or an organized way that's similar for all of the projects, so it doesn't look like one is better than another or anything like that. But it's just like maybe a profile information, the background information, if they have a video, things like that, and build like a little profile page, almost like kind of like a little GoFundMe, page that we could hang off of ArkFi, and then have the airdrop wallet address, and yeah, people could drop their ARK there, which would be really cool.
That's a fantastic idea, mate. I'm so down for that. What's one ARK a week or 10 ARK a week? A few months into the project, when everyone's, well, a few months when everyone's ROI'd to try and help the rest of the world. I think it's a fantastic idea.
I would like to also say donation is amazing, and that should be good. This is a little story I that happened to me last year, where I was here in Asia, and this kid was trying to sell me like cashew nuts and stuff, and I kept refusing him. And he was still insistent. He was really young, but I took out, like, let's say 100 rupees to give to the kid, and he refused money from me. He said, I want to earn my way. I cannot take charity. I have 2 hands, 2 feet, and I have good communication. I'm not going to take it from you. So I ended up buying 3 times the amount of cashew nuts from him, just to give him not 100 rupees, but 300 rupees. So the whole incentive thing can work wonders in DeFi, where you have where there's sort of development issues or there's marketing issues that if we need help with, and we create like a task sort of state where someone connects their wallet. If they complete those tasks, then they arbitrage on that opportunity, and maybe from there you can create also tutorials into education, and have them sort of unlock a tutorial on how to mass market, or how to work in Telegram or Modroll, or I don't know, man. Like, the possibilities are endless that way. So those are my sort of opinions.
Cool, man. Absolutely. And Brad, do you want to talk to us a bit about your situation in Thailand, what you were able to accomplish there, and how that's going? Because I think it's fascinating. I don't know if other folks might find it interesting as well.
Yeah, no problem. So I went to Thailand because one of my friends got married and asked me to be best man at his wedding. And I'd never been to that part of the world. They're a developing third world country, and I've rescued a couple of dogs in England and rehomed a couple of dogs in England, just through situation, and if I see a dog that I can help, I will. Just the way I am. I love animals in general, but especially dogs. And I went there, and it just broke my heart how the dogs live. Like, under 1% of people in Thailand have dogs as pets, right? They're all street dogs, and they live rough lives. They all have like their own little territories that they stay in, and if they go wandering, they get attacked by other dogs, and it really is the strong survive and the weak don't when you're talking about the dogs there. And it just broke my heart. So at the time, I had a successful personal training business, and I just decided I was going to do the small part that I could. I met a lovely family when I was in Thailand, and I went back there and did some traveling around, and ended up buying a piece of land that was close to the family that I met, to their home, which is, real rural Thailand. It was by the closest big city there is called Phetchabun, and it's about 10, 15 miles away from where the family lived. So I bought a piece of land, and I built a house there for the family, because they were incredibly poor as well, but they had the same love for dogs that I do, and really did stress their lives financially by helping the local dogs. And I just wanted to do something for them and the dogs. So we built we bought a piece of land, and built a house there for them, and a wall around the land. A nice sized bit of land, but land in Thailand is cheap. It wasn't. You're not talking mega money. So don't think I've got loads of money to throw around, because that isn't the case. But it's a lot cheaper there anyway. And then the response by the locals was overwhelming, of how many dogs that just needed help. So the first thing that we did was get as many of the local dogs in the village where she lived, treated, by the vets and stuff. And you're talking like 30 English pounds per dog to be healthy and not neutered, sorry, tick and flea free, which to me is nothing, because anyone that's got a dog in the Western world, you're talking hundreds of pounds each dog. So that was the first step, and then the second step was to take the dogs that were just left in the village, and I mean, these people, you can't think anything bad about them, because they literally have the choice of feeding the dogs or feeding their family. This is a really, really poor village in Thailand. And so we just went and collected as many of the dogs as we could, and they now live with the family, on the land, safe inside the the compound, the walls, whatever you want to call it. And they are, lovely, happy, beautiful dogs that really, they get along. They don't fight. They've been raised as what you would consider a Western dog, a pet. They're not street dogs anymore. And all of these dogs would have died, because they couldn't fend for themselves. They were puppies, and they were ridden with worms and ticks and fleas, and just really living an awful life. And now they're very happy and great, and I miss them like crazy. But it just stopped being financially viable to go there and visit them, because I did actually go to Thailand 14 times over a 6-year period to see the dogs, and just be there, because I just love animals. But the price of the airfare alone could feed the dogs for over a year, and the family. I'm not joking. You're talking, between, depending on what time of the year you go, you're talking between 800 to sort of 1300 excuse me, English pounds. And that can feed them animals for a year. So I had to stop being selfish and go in there to visit them, because obviously, if you love dogs and you've helped dogs, you want to see them, you want to interact with them. And what, these dogs I raised in my hands over the first few months that they were alive, and nursed them back to health, and built a real bond and connection with all of them. And it's hard to not go there, but it's selfish to go there, because I might not always be in a financial position to care for them, but by not going there, it allowed me to certainly care for them for a long period of time. You're talking 10 years now, since I haven't been there for 4 years. I went there for 6 years, so you're talking 10 years now. And we started with oh, bless him. So the piece of land's funny story. We called him Lucky because the piece of land that we looked at is the very first dog that we rescued, and he lived with and still lives in the family home in the village because the family got very attached to him, and it would have been unfair to take him away from them. But we called him Lucky because we saw a piece of land, and we were traveling around looking for it, the most ideal place, the biggest piece of land we could get, really, because the bigger the land, the more dogs we could take in. And there was just a tree on a bit of desolate land, and nothing growing there. And there was a tree, and we were looking, and the girl's name of the family was Bo. And she said, "Look, Brad, there's something under that tree." And we walked over, and there was just a puppy there, just a lonesome puppy. And there's nothing there. I'm not joking. There is absolutely, nothing at all the way 360 around. So we don't know how he got there, but he was obviously trying to keep cool in the shade of under the tree. And he was the first one we took him, and we knew it was a sign that this was the bit of land and this was the place, because this is where the dogs needed the most help. And yeah, we called him Lucky because he was very, very lucky for us to find him. And she said to me, "We have to take him, because if we don't, he'll die tonight. He won't survive. There's nothing there to eat or drink." And he was clearly in a very bad way with the sun. The sun is 40 degrees up on the hottest days. So he was the first one, and there is currently 14 dogs living there. So it's not an outrageous amount of help, but it is 14 dogs that would. Oh, sorry, it's 15 because Lucky lives in the family home. And that's 15 dogs that wouldn't be alive now if we hadn't helped them. So that makes me very, very happy. And I haven't actually told you this, Atlas, because we've been so busy, but it was 10 dogs, and since I've spoken to her sort of midway last month, she's taken in 4 more dogs, so it's now 14 dogs that are living there, because somebody had a litter of puppies and they just went to the house and said, "I can't feed these dogs, and unfortunately it's kill them or you guys take them." And she would never turn a dog away. So yeah, 15 dogs rescued, living a really nice, comfortable life out in Thailand, which makes me very happy.
Thanks for sharing that, brother. That's beautiful, man. And it's very clear to see how fulfilling it is for you. And I think that there's a lot of folks that have those aspirations, and sometimes we got to understand that we got to get our finances right, our family right, before we're able to really extend help towards others. And, part of the reason of ARK and why we want to be here, we want to grow here. And there will be, decisions and choices that we'll have to face in the future as to diversify and what to do with gains. But I think also that component's important. Is there anybody here that, maybe has a similar story to Z or Brad of something they're doing currently or have done before that they'd like to share?
I think usually folks are really private about these things. So if any of you feel that you don't want to share it publicly, then do DM us. It is something that we're looking into.
Absolutely. I'm sure a lot of folks have aspirations to do good things. It is a great feeling. Are there any other questions regarding ARK? Maybe somebody walked in and they're looking at the white paper and they want to ask us something. Please go right ahead.
Yeah, I have a small one.
Go ahead, my friend. How you doing, buddy? You off the plane so fast?
Laughing? Listen, I know you're laughing when I speak. Every time I speak, you're gonna be laughing now.
I gotta laugh too as well, man. I'm looking
Okay.
forward to this.
No, my question. Okay, I defer to Z. Ask
How we
the
doing,
question,
Neto?
Z.
No.
I'm great.
You, sir.
I'm great. You hear that United song? I'm flying now. I'm aboard. But I had a question. Seriously, this is important. In the model, I don't know. Please, you can confirm maybe. In the model, does the model provide a step down after you get NDV negative? Does it model the step down to 1% in the actual model, or does it assume it'll continue at 2 the whole time?
Do you mean in the calculator, Nito? Because in the calculator, yes. Yeah, it automatically will step you down if your NDV goes negative.
Okay, so forever CWR, it automatically will step us down to 1%, but it'll assume we'll stay at that, so we won't ever go penalized to 0.5 unless you do that intentionally, right?
Yeah, correct. Your CWR would have to drop below 0.75 in order to drop to that 0.5% daily ROI.
Okay, but the key is, yeah, that's good. So then I could use it, because I like to do my own calculation, because I put in my own numbers, but as long as it factors that in, as soon as you go NDV negative, then it goes to 1%, and that's very useful. I guess I'll just assume a launch price of, 5 or something. I don't want to go. I want more conservative.
Yeah, you can always tweak that. I mean, you can run a different price. You just change the price in it, and it just updates automatically. The whole calculator.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance between how to plan for NFTs on fewer wallets versus greater number of wallets, a smaller amount. Because in the end of this all, it's never about any longer. It's no longer about maxing, which is very important theme. It's definitely going to take years. So it's all. And one thing that you guys said was that you don't necessarily gain. You don't necessarily earn more by doing larger amounts. It's kind of striking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody has the same opportunity, and like we've been talking about, when we go into these emerging markets and we talk about China and we talk about where Z is in the Middle East, they won't have the same deposit amounts as we do typically. So yeah, we need to be cognizant that they have the same opportunity that we do. So yeah, it's a great fit, and it will definitely help with the adoption rate.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna think. I was just thinking out loud. Yeah, no. The vault. How everything when you buy is gonna go in the vault. Was that something you guys changed recently, or was it from plan that way? Because it seemed like it was just a recent pivot. Is that recent?
Yeah, it was recent. It kind of came from a bunch of different places, but mainly as we started to look at the liquidity controller and we were trying to figure out how we best stabilize the price. And then we prevent all the pump and dump stuff that we've seen with a lot of the projects when they launch, and people are trying to dump on you while you're trying to stabilize your liquidity controller. It's a really tough thing to manage. And actually, when I first kind of came up with the concept for ARK, it was a BUSD in and BUSD out system. It was more of a closed system. And then we loosened it up and we looked at, okay, if we want to have eventually other protocols to be able to put ARK in, other utilities, things like that, we should at least have ARK going out to a wallet. Now we want to be able to restrict what can happen to that ARK and how it gets, sold and things like that. But yeah, it was kind of something that came full circle for me. And in looking at some of the opportunities for us to run into, heavy pressure or manipulation or anything like that. It was just sort of a natural thing. Like I just said, you know what, why don't we just do this? And then the developers, we were working on the liquidity controller. The developers were like, oh God, that would be huge. That solves a lot of problems for us on the back end as well. So I was like, great, it works out for everybody. So yeah, it's a nice addition. I think it got well received, and we're looking forward to being able to stabilize the protocol with that mechanism alone.
Okay, so if I were to talk in layman's term, that means you modeled everything so that there's less stress on the liquidity controller by well, clearly less sell pressure, but it's more sustainable based on your model, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So people can't just buy ARK and then hold it in their wallet, because you see a lot of speculators do that when projects launch. They'll hold on to it and wait for the price appreciation and then just dump all their tokens. So yeah, we want people that are participating to buy and put them into the ARK vault, because that's what gives it the sustainability. If we have a bunch of tokens out that anybody can sell at any given time, in the most gross example of that right now is Drip. There's well over 1 million tokens being held in people's wallets, and so if a panic comes, that's the when the dominoes start to fall and people panic and they start selling. And if you don't have controls in place and you want to try to manage the liquidity to some degree, you're gonna have a really hard time, and it's gonna break that system. So we want to prevent that, and we want to make it a stable income opportunity versus something that's volatile and subject to changes in the marketplace. But that's also why we combine things with BUSD, so that we have a stable foundation.
So if the supply gets eaten up in the upper range of the bound of the liquidity controller range, then you'll run out of your token, and you'll have to mint more, right? Like Furio did, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that would be a good problem to have, and should be taken as a positive thing. So let's say that we expand the product line, and we create and bring in new investors. There's no question, if that price is pinging on top of that, the ceiling of the liquidity controller, that we would have to mint in order to be able to stabilize that price. So the market's going to want the price to go, to $100 or whatever, but we're going to try to maintain it lower than that. And in doing that, we have to have more ARK. So yeah, we have things in place to do just that.
Or raise the upper bound, right?
Yeah, we talked about that too. So in these daily ROI dApps, you start to get to a price that becomes out of reach for a lot of people. And so I think that, a majority of the people, if you ask in this space, if based on the number of tokens that you can net and the ROI opportunity that you have, what is a good range? I think once it starts getting over $30, $50, $100, you're starting to price people out of the market. Sure, it's great for the investors, but then the opposite of that, if you start going down the curve, you don't have enough BUSD to pay out. And so you've got to be careful, as people exit.
No, I agree. I agree completely. I don't think you should ever raise it. If it were up to me, I would set it and never raise it, and just keep accumulating that liquidity, that war chest, continue to build that healthy supply, and more and more confidence and stability. Oh yeah. So what I was going to say is, if you end up having this good problem and you mint more, and then later, let's say there's some kind of momentary panic or some kind, and the price will drop, is there a way to reduce the supply as well? Are there mechanisms you have or would consider, like, I don't know, burning or whatever? To decrease the supply.
So muting in these type of systems doesn't make a ton of, burning in these type of systems doesn't make a bunch of sense, because you're going to just end up minting somewhere else. So what we do, because you can purchase, so if you think about it, let's say that we're minting, but the reason why we're minting is because the buy pressure is so high that we're hitting on that, the upper ceiling, the price ceiling. we're forcing all of those tokens back into the tax vault, and so they have to be earned out. And so there's not going to be any, loose tokens running around. So yeah, we would lock all those up immediately into the tax vault, and they would have to be earned out slowly over time. So that would be, the same situation we'd be in at launch, basically, where we have everything locked in the tax vault and we have to earn it out over time. So because we don't allow any of those tokens floating around in wallets, or they just can't dump on the chart, we're going to have a lot better time managing a higher number or more, an increased supply in tokens versus, some other platforms.
Okay. And you're confident that all the NFTs will be sold out, right? Or will there be new batches of them as well in the future after they're sold out?
The legacy NFTs?
Yeah, like to enable you to increase your CWR, for example, those NFTs.
Yeah, the legacy NFTs. I'm pretty confident that we're going to have a huge demand for those, and we're hoping we don't sell out right away. Obviously, that way we can give opportunities to new people coming into the protocol. And as we roll out some of these external investments, people are going to get excited. We want them to come and participate. Obviously, the only way we would increase that, we've talked about this, is we would put that in front of the DAO. And we would let the DAO vote. So let's say that we wanted to do a capital raise for some reason, and we were sold out at that point in time because we wanted to start a new venture, expand the ecosystem, and we needed capital, and we wanted to have those additional investors on board to help crowdfund that activity. Then I think we would put it up for a DAO vote, because those people are going to be impacted the most, because what we're doing is diluting the legacy NFT rewards pool by adding more legacy NFTs. So you'd have to look at, have those people, or are those people getting a good return on investment? And then under the guise of expansion, new product development, partnerships or something, if we wanted to allow more legacy NFTs in and bring in additional DAO members, then that would be a vote that I think we would put in front of the DAO for sure.
Okay, this is very good.
Right.
So
in the situation like that, you would end up bringing in more revenue. So while the NFT holders might feel like it dilutes the value of the NFT somewhat, you're also would be bringing in more revenue that could go towards that, which would equal out, that dilution.
We have to make the business case for it, in front of the DAO and say, hey, this is a 1 + 1 = 3 scenario. So this is a growth factor where you guys are going to see a bigger return on this, altogether. So yeah, that's where I think. And then, obviously, how many would we mint, and what types would we mint, and how much would we want to raise, and all those kind of things would be questions that we'd have to answer to the DAO.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Brett. Also, so let's say this is the power of numbers, right? And how the capital, the buying power of a force, the force of a DAO in a group. If for example, members such as myself or others have deals, like I, for example, can want to introduce deals, let's say, that could benefit as additional revenue driver for, I guess, the DAO members with the NFT, and also, like you said, to help raise liquidity for the controller and other activities you guys do. Would you be open to voting on those deals as well? Because that would be like a collective raise, or you would allocate a portion of that for those additional opportunities.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, we're open to external, or I guess you could say DAO member ideas, not just our own. So yeah, we obviously would need to screen it and vet the deal.
Vet it fully, of course, absolutely. In fact, you guys vetting it with your backgrounds, exquisite backgrounds in finance and all that, would be like a stamp of approval for others too, if it's available. So, but yeah, so that's the thing. I'm working on certain opportunities as well, and I want to negotiate them and make them good value, and we would bring it into a pot that I could say, hey, we can pledge X amount, but we can get a very good deal, especially now, right, with the market and all, because they're really, in not the most ideal timing of launching or soft launching, their projects. Some have some different degrees of traction, but all in all, I think they're great opportunities right now, especially now in the next 6-12 months. So as we evolve and you build out this investor base and these growth in post launch, these opportunities can be very useful. There's different timelines. There's different timelines of them, but is there any specific sector that you like in like Web3, in the Web3 arena?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about anything connected to the real world, where we see, and Atlas mentioned this earlier, investor security, stable returns, those type of investments where they're more, I would say, on the traditional business or TradFi side of things are what we've focused in on for now. But there's also crypto opportunities as well. So I don't think we're leaving anything off the table. Obviously, Chris and the folks at Bridge DeFi are thick in the middle of all of that, and we've had some discussions with Z and Chris and everybody. So
I'm going to take off in a minute, but I want to say this: Chris is now, and Bridge DeFi members are on the board with ARK. So who would I approach? I'm invested with DeFi, Bridge DeFi folks. Who would I approach for that? Would approach ARK, and then you guys all discuss since you're on the board, or how would that work?
Yeah, I think you could present the information to Atlas and I for now, and we can, further the discussion and figure out what, kind of package of information we need to make a good decision about, the opportunities that we tackle as we go. Obviously, they're all going to have their own little nuances and deals, and how much capital do we have available, how much risk is involved, and all those kind of things. But yeah, I'd love to see your presentation on that.
Yeah, I have several ideas I posted to you, and I have a couple avenues for deals. But I'm going to get some deal flow. I really will. I'm really intent on that, especially in the real world, which is why the whole Bridge DeFi appealed to me. And I spoke with the team. So I like to do connections, and I like to also introduce deals. And it would be great thing because you're vetting the deal from a very seasoned lens. And you'd be able to determine that makes sense for the group. And also it's voted on, right? So it's not like it passes multiple tests of approval. That's a good thing. Healthy.
Yep. Love it. Thanks, Nito. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'll talk to you later on it. But what I posted could be something to chew on first. Okay.
Have a good flight.
Thanks, bro.
Have a good flight, Nito. Hey, Nito, can we get it? Let's get this crypto before you leave. Take off.
Let's get this crypto.
All right. Let's go, man. Have a good flight, brother.
ARK crypto. Thanks, bro.
All right. Take care. All right, guys. Good conversation there. Nito always keeps us on our toes. We appreciate him for that. Is there anybody else that has a question or a comment?
Whenever Nito steps up, it's like, seriously, I'm looking forward to the question. I think we all feel the same.
Absolutely. Well, if there's no further questions, guys, I think that we've had a nice podcast tonight. Great updates. Looking forward to Friday. A lot of FOMO, a lot of demand for the public round starting at 12 p.m. EST, 5 p.m. UTC, and we look forward with much anticipation to getting there. Then the week after that, next Friday, we're going to do it again. That'll be the last one as we really get ready for our launch on December 2nd. So without further ado, Mr. Fortunate, we thank all of you for being here this evening. Podcast number 16. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. EST, 11 p.m. UTC. Have a great night. Thank you.